Hey guys, it's Gracie Waite. I compete in the shot, put, discus, and weight throw for Hardin Valley Academy track team, and you're listening to the No Playbook podcast.
Hey, I'm Pierce Palmer. I play football for Hardin Valley Academy, and you're listening to the No Playbook podcast.
Hey, thanks for checking out the show. It's the podcast where we talk with the outstanding athletes, coaches, and experts that help to make sports and fitness such an important part of life here in the Southeast. I really enjoy doing these kind of episodes where I highlight stellar high school athletes in East Tennessee. And there's no high school closer to me right now where I sit than Hardin Valley Academy. I could probably skip a rock to the high school from where I'm sitting right now. Gracie Waite being recruited right now to play, track and field as an athlete in college. So she talks about that experience. And we even talk about her experience competing in the Junior Olympics recently. Pierce Palmer plays football at Hardin Valley. He's also being recruited to play at the next level. So we talk about how his senior season is going so far and about his whole recruiting process. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out the podcast now on YouTube and make sure you follow me on TikTok and Instagram at No Playbook Pod. I got that interview with Gracie Waite coming up first right after this. Sit tight.
Recruit Me puts the recruiting process in your hands. Most student athletes wait for college coaches to discover them, but coaches are busy and don't always have the time to find them. Recruit Me allows you to build an online profile to share directly with college coaches and is designed to help you enter all of the information coaches want to see. Your stats, your highlight videos, your academic information, your social links, and more. Plus, our team is here to make sure that your profile stands out with personalized suggestions. With over 25,000 coaches in our database, our premium plan gives you access to D1, D2, D3, and NAIA coaches across the country, and more importantly, gives them access to you. Enter your schedule of games and tournaments to let coaches know when and where you're playing so they can come out and watch you shine. Then communicate with interested coaches via our chat feature. When it comes to recruiting, don't make coaches research you. Do the work for them. Get started today at the Recruit Me app, on the web, and in the app stores.
At D1 Training, what we do is in our name. Our D1 athletes become D1 athletes. Whether it's Los Angeles Angels pitcher Ben Joyce, high school soccer national MVP Brindley Murphy, or first-round NFL draft pick Cole Strange, we help all athletes reach their full potential. Five-star training system comes straight from D1 strength and conditioning programs, and D1 has trained over 2,000 professional athletes. Many of them started as young as 7 years old. Check out D1Training.com to learn more about their facilities in Hardin Valley and Sevierville, and coming very soon to Maryville and the Tri-Cities.
Good. You look like all made up now. Like nobody would know that you were just getting after it with Corey at D1.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys hit it hard today?
Yes, always.
Like, what does that mean? What are you guys specifically working on the most?
I think we work on a lot of things. Like, I feel like if you look at like the week, because I come every day, I think beginning of the week we hit it really, really hard. Legs, power, mobility, stretching, all the things. And then midweek we're still hitting it pretty hard. It usually depends like if I have practice or not on the day. So Wednesdays we don't go as hard because I'll go straight to practice from there. And then Fridays are usually always recovery days. So we'll do more stretching, more mobility, not as much hard. So it's kind of what the week looks like.
but equally as important, right?
Yes, always important.
So, Gracie Waite, thank you so much for joining me. Start out by telling me just what are all the sports you do at Hardin Valley?
Okay, so right now I just only compete in track and field. So I do shot, discus, and weight throw. I did used to play basketball, but I do not compete in basketball anymore.
Yeah. Well, I forgive me. I have no knowledge of this particular track and field world. So, like, what is the difference between? I mean, I know what the difference between like shot and javelin and discus is, but
Yeah.
when it comes to like training for it or how you prepare for each of those throws, like, how is that different?
Oh, it's so different, especially At bigger competitions. So different competitions, they'll do either shot first, then discus. So like guys will do disc while girls are doing shot, or they'll do girls are doing shot while guys are doing or switched, like switch.
Yeah.
So it's you never know till you get there. So you can't always mentally prepare yourself like, oh, I know I'm going to do shot first and like go in with the mentality you're doing shot. Because then if you do that, then you show up and you're like, oh, we're actually doing discus first. It's like, gotta switch it real quick. Um, so I think sometimes mentality is definitely a big difference. Especially I struggle more with discus. This year I definitely had a big breakthrough in discus, which was really exciting. But past years it was definitely a struggle for me. So my mentality was really different. I was really like, oh, I'm just gonna go out there and not do anything good. But this year was really exciting.
What about
Yeah.
like strategy wise? So like when you're doing the discus, is there like I need to focus more on my hips on this, or is there anything to that with the different
Yeah,
events?
so discus, you there's so many things you want to think about. So you want to think about your foot placement in the middle of the circle. You want to make sure your foot's not too in the middle, but also not too far over, so you're not over rotating. But you also want to think about your hand placement and your shoulder placement. So you want to make sure you're wide, but not too wide where you're overextending. So then you're kind of just using more your upper body and not as much your legs. But you also want to think about your legs and make sure you're pushing your hips through, um, but also not over rotating your hips. So there's so many things that's running through your mind, as well as you want to focus on your breathing. So then you're not overexcited, so then you don't like overthrow, but then that you're not like underexcited, so then you don't give it your all. So there's so many things that are always kind of going through my head in discus that I need to remember what my coaches told me, how I'm feeling that day, what the weather's like. There's so many things that come into play.
What is the weight throw that you mentioned?
Yeah, so weight throw is like a big shot, a small chain, and like there's like a little triangle at the end of the chain, and that you spin around and you like throw it. So it's similar to hammer. Hammer's a small shot, long chain with like the little triangle, and you also throw it.
That sounds like a Quentin Tarantino like weapon.
Oh yeah, it's definitely it took some convincing to start doing weight throw, but I'm definitely glad that I'm getting into it.
And you have experience with the Junior Olympics, is this right?
I do, yes, I do.
Talk about that.
It was, whoo, it was definitely an experience. So I was in 17, 18 age group. So I was going against girls who have already committed or who are already in college. So I was going against some amazing talent. But, discus, I didn't have the results that I wanted to. I ended up scratching all my throws, and that was like the first day. So I was with my coach, I was warming up, I was feeling good, I was looking really good. Even he was like, "You're looking great." We're super excited. And then I get in there and I don't know what switched, but I just scratched all my throws. Like I was saying, there's so many things you have to think about. So like there's so many times I was over rotating or I wasn't rotating enough. And then it just didn't go the way I wanted to. So that was definitely hard, especially knowing that I have to come back the next day and like reset my mindset so I can go and compete in shot. So it was definitely hard. And obviously not the way I wanted it to end. But my parents were definitely so supportive and were like, it's okay, it happens. You're not always going to be on your game all the time. It just stinks that it had to be then. But
Mm.
then I came back the next day. I did shot. Obviously, it wasn't how I wanted to. I felt like I could competed more, but I also felt like it was rainy. The ring is wood, so we usually for shot we throw on concrete. And throwing on wood we usually do on indoor, which wood isn't the best to throw on outdoor. So it's definitely a change, and I was learning a new technique. I was transitioning to spin. So I was kind of going back and forth between glide and spin, trying to figuring out what I feel more comfortable with, which one I want to use. Um, but I ended up getting 13th, which I still am really proud of myself. Uh,
Yeah. Out of how
but
many?
that's awesome.
What is that? 13th out of how many?
60 plus.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, and even just like getting to the competition, you have to continue winning those like competitions during the summer. So I think I competed in like 3 or 4 track meets before even like being able to qualify for Junior Olympics. And it's not just like people from Knoxville, it's people from all over.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting. It was so
That
much fun.
does the finish like that help your boost your recruiting at all?
Oh, yes. I think too. I think also it helped boosted my confidence. I'm really, really hard on myself. So like I could go out there and like throw a 32 or not 32, like a 36 and like everyone be like, that's so good and like win first place. But I'm like, that's not good enough for me. I'm not okay with that. I know I can do better. Um, but so I'm hard on myself. So I think that definitely gave me a boost of confidence, especially I was getting some college interaction before then, but I felt like it wasn't as much I was getting for basketball. So it was definitely, um, I wasn't sure how it was going to go going into this year. But now I'm definitely getting a lot of college like recruiting stuff. So that's really exciting.
But you were getting college attention for basketball. So what made you decide I'm gonna dump basketball and just go with track and field?
Yeah, that was a very hard decision. I think looking back, I felt like it was a very mature decision. You know, basketball I have been playing since like I was 5. There was never a time when I was not playing basketball. So when I was doing track on top of basketball, I was doubling up. Or like when I was doing tennis, I was doing like sports at a time. So basketball was always there. And I think last year I had I started getting overly stressed and it started really affecting like my mental health, and I think that really opened my eyes to like, hey, mental health is a real thing, but I sometimes have to get things that really stress me out in life out of my life. And although it's like hard to do that, I think looking back at it now, it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean I don't miss basketball or miss my coaches or miss my teammates. I miss them like crazy, but I also ended on a really good note with them. So our relationship is still super strong. I still reach out. I still like will go to the games, but yeah.
So I actually want to encourage anybody that's listening to this and would like to hear more about that. So one of the very first episodes of this podcast, I had Zach Joyce on, who now is in the LA Angels, Major League Baseball, their organization. So he was talking about how his twin brother is the guy that was pitching a 105 in college and getting, he was a first round draft pick, I think.
Yeah.
And Zach basically got what is known as the it sounds like. And he basically gave up baseball. And he
Mhm.
was, I don't know, like 18 months. He was completely out of the sport, didn't pick up a baseball. And it was just because he had this stress and this mental health hurdle to get over. Now he got over it. Now he's doing much better. But it was a really interesting interview to listen to him speak about getting over that, to where he had completely had to walk away from the sport, and now he's in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's great.
you mentioned that recruiting. I want to hear about that. Like in this world of recruiting, is there like different strategies that coaches will use to come after you, or
Um,
um,
yeah, I feel like it's so weird. So I have 2 older brothers, so that kind of makes sense why I'm so competitive. But they both had opportunities to go to college for sports, but they didn't. So we didn't really get to do that recruiting process with them. So we're coming into, my parents and I are coming into this totally new, don't know anything about it, don't know how it works, don't know what the do's and don'ts are. So I am definitely coming in with an open mind, listening to everything. I think my top things that I'm like, I need to have, obviously, is my major. And it helps that I know what I want to major in. I want to major in education, more specifically, middle school math. So, like, if a school doesn't have education, I'm like, maybe not. I'm still listening and like things can change. If the school really is something that I feel like I want to go to or I could have an amazing opportunity for, um, then obviously I would look more into it and find maybe if I took this route, then I could still end up teaching. So I'm definitely going into it with an open mind. I've noticed that schools sometimes will compare themselves to each other and be like, well, we have this at this school, but this school doesn't really have it. I definitely noticed that with two schools, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. But they kind of did it to each other. So it was like, oh, it's funny because that person just said the same thing about you guys. But I've definitely noticed that coaches, especially if they know what they want, they're definitely more like aggressive about it. Not aggressive, but like more I'm trying to think how to
Well,
explain
maybe
it.
it is aggressive. I mean, I've heard some of the pitches,
Well,
and
it's sometimes a little aggressive, but they
Mhm.
definitely are really nice and always are friendly and make sure. Obviously my parents are like a huge factor in my life, so I want to make sure like obviously I like the school and like feel comfortable with it, but my parents' opinion always kind of matters to me, so I'm like, what do you guys think?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's been fun, it's really exciting, it's definitely starting to pick up too, especially some offers, so it should be really exciting. I'm so excited.
When do you plan to commit?
Uh, I plan to commit maybe mid-season, maybe closer to the end of the season. Because I've heard like you don't want to commit too soon because sometimes you can like commit to a school, but then a school that you really want offers you, and then you're like, oh, well, no. But then I've also heard you don't want to wait too long because then schools will start to lose interest in you. Um, I will say though, it's nice with track because it's a spring sport. So I still have like fall and winter to go on my visits, but also I still have a whole season to compete and get better. So like it's really funny to think about like all this college activity I'm getting from my junior year and like my sophomore and freshman year from like competing and getting better. But I still have a whole nother season to compete and like a whole season for coaches to see how much work I've put in the gym, how much work I've put in by myself. Like I'm so excited.
Yeah. I'm really curious to hear about who is the middle school math teacher that made an impression on you,
Oh my goodness.
because that's a very specific thing to say. I want to be like a 7th grade math teacher.
um, I think I've always had really good math teachers, and I think I don't know what it is with math. I've always loved my math, but I've always loved just the whole idea of teaching as well. Um, I also love special education. So one of my big role models is my older brother, Tristan Waite. He is a special education teacher at my high school. And our program at Hardin Valley Peer Tutoring was an amazing program. And that's like where he fell in love with special education. And like just watching his whole demeanor change and his heart change and then watch him go into that has also changed my heart. And I'm really involved in our peer tutoring program. So it's definitely, I want to go into education. I know that for sure. But my heart definitely is kind of swaying me back and forth between middle school math and then special education. And it's like, whatever happens, happens.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
now, again, really quick, just to talk about, because I do see you a lot at D1 working with Corey. Is there anything specific like that you're working like on this goal? I want to get build this muscle group or help my flexibility. Is there anything that you guys are really working on with a set goal?
Um, all of it, I think. Obviously, it was weird at first doing basketball and track because obviously with throwing you want to like get big, you want to grow that muscle, but you also playing a sport like basketball where you're continuously having to cut and like um you don't want to get too big where like your body, it's hard on your knees and on your body to like make those cuts and make those certain movements. But now that it's just track, we definitely are hitting it hard. And I definitely have noticed a huge change in my body physically. And like I'm just continuing to grow muscles, but also I'm getting really flexible because we're doing a lot of stretching. Although I complain and it hurts a lot, I've definitely noticed a huge improvement, especially when it comes to like my technique for throwing.
Are you
It's
getting further distance now?
Oh yes, oh yes. I am like mid 40s now
Wow.
continuously, so that's really exciting. I'm ready to hopefully break some records.
There you go. Now, how about off the field, I guess? What does Gracie like to do? What are your hobbies?
Gracie is busy off the field. She is I am student section leader at my school, so I'm at all the games, front row, getting people involved in the school, as well as getting students that are in peer tutoring involved. I'll pick up students, I'll make sure they're getting involved and being able to hang out with everyone in the school because not many people will like reach out to that community. I'm all about involvement, getting people involved. If you're new to the school, hit me up. Like, let's go to a football game. I'll introduce you to everyone. I'm involved with Young Life. I love Young Life. It's so much fun. I'm also involved with my own youth group. I'm really close with all those girls. And then even within the school, a teacher will be like, hey, I have this little meeting club coming up. You want to do it? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I love being involved. I love having things to do, but I also love getting other people involved and helping everyone kind of find their place in high school. So,
That's really great. I moved to a new high school in a new state in the 11th grade. So I
oh,
was just like
oh
searching
yeah.
for like who is going to be the ambassador of
Oh,
the
yeah.
11th grade. It's going to help me. But this actually reminds me of something I just saw on your Instagram. What in the heck is senior assassins? What?
Senior assassin. Yes. So many high schools do this, and I've been the person planning it for our high school. So senior assassin is, do you know Among Us?
I've heard my kids talk about it, but I don't really know
Okay,
what it
so
is.
it's kind of along the lines of that. So anyone who wants to join can join. There's an app that does it. So everyone's in this app and you get assigned someone so like if you and I were playing, I would get assigned your name and I have 2 days to like hit you with a water gun is what it is. So, but our location is on at all times.
Do I know that you're assigned to me?
Mm-mm. You don't
Okay.
know who's assigned to you. So like it's like a guessing game. It's like could be my close friend, could be someone I've never met before. But I've made it where you cannot play on school grounds. You cannot play at any school functions. Your location must be on at all times, but people cannot come to your house between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. So like people don't really have to worry about that as much. Um, but yeah, everyone has been so involved. Everyone's so pumped. It's definitely something that I've added onto my plate. So I'm kind of being cautious about not overwhelming myself about that. But it's getting so many people involved in our whole grade. So it's totally worth it. But
Yeah.
it's so fun. We're so excited.
It sounds just like a fun game of like laser tag almost, but it's water. I was just talking with Pierce about laser tag.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I'm wondering like if is the way to go about it like being like a sniper, or is it just going up and pretending like, oh hey Gracie, I wanted to talk to you about something. Oh, just kidding. Here you now you're wet.
I I have no idea.
I just wanted to get you one last question. It's one I ask everybody. Tell me one great sports memory you've got, whether it's as an athlete or even a spectator.
That's that's a hard question. Um, do I do either or one of each?
Yeah, either or, just something that you're like, I'm never gonna forget that ever.
I will never forget going to the Big Ten championship game with my whole family. So my family's a Michigan fan, and it was when Michigan was in like the championship, and we drove as a
Football.
family. Yes,
Okay.
football game. We drove as a family, and we all went and watched, and and Michigan won, so it was awesome. But just like that memory of my family all being together was so sweet, and Michigan winning, it was so
Right.
much fun. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Gracie, thank you so much. Best of luck, and we're going to be following along with your career to see who you commit with in the spring.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. What's up, dude? How are things?
Good. They're going good. I mean, really just doing football and school right now, trying to juggle both of those. But other than that, not much.
So you're just getting out of school, right? For today.
Yeah. Well, so basically, I have a 7 a.m. and I have Pellissippi, which is dual enrollment. So every day I actually get out at 11:20. So the days I don't have class, I can just go home, do whatever I want to do until 3:30 when I go back for practice.
Wow. So you don't have classes some days?
Yeah, so for Pellissippi, I have classes Tuesday and Thursday. So Monday and Wednesday are kind of just my free days.
Wow. That's like a college schedule.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, I remember first semester at UT, I had Tuesdays and Thursdays. I had no classes at all. It's like,
Really?
what is this life? Yeah. I mean, of course, I ended up working. I worked
Mhm.
at CVS and I would go, work for 8-hour days, but still it was like I wasn't used to not having any classes at all.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I like it. I mean, sometimes it's a struggle getting up at 7 a.m. going to those classes because it's a little bit earlier, but it's worth it.
Are these online classes at 7 o'clock?
No, they actually have some at the school. So one of them is weightlifting, which a lot of the football guys do. So the coach actually is the teacher for the weightlifting class. So
Oh,
that helps. So like we can get our lifting in, and then the other ones they just offer some in the school as well. So
yeah, yeah. One of my questions for later, but I'll go ahead and ask, what is your favorite workout or your lift? What's your
oh,
favorite?
my favorite lift probably squats. I've just always kind of been a squats guy. Like I don't know, it's just something about it. Everyone kind of gets hyped for squats too. Like when everyone's maxing and stuff like that. I just feel like it's the most hype lift. So it's always
Yeah.
just been something that I can do more of as well.
So at D1, we really go all out for Squattober.
Oh yeah.
So
So
so make that
I've heard of it.
a big competition and just to get some growth, I guess, for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
hmm So yeah.
How's the season going so far?
So the season's going good. I mean, honestly, everyone, we had high expectations because, we're coming into a new coach. I mean, he's been pretty new. So that's been kind of different. But once we kind of adapted to him, we knew we could do good things because we have the talent. And so we started off 3-0, played Karns, Morristown East, and Cott County. So we started off 3-0. We had a big game last Friday, which we didn't play to the best of our abilities, in my opinion. So we ended up losing that game, but it's all right because it's nothing really matters until we get into region play because that's really what decides what you do and if you go to the postseason. So we got a big region game against Bearden this Friday, so that'll be a big game. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Who was it that you played last week?
We played Halls.
Okay.
So yeah, Halls is the team this year that surprised some people too, and they're 4-0. So
Yeah, I was at the game when they played Campbell County,
mhm.
and I'll be honest, the first two drives of that game, I thought there's no chance Halls was winning this game.
Yeah,
And then they came back and I was really surprised that they stuck with it and won that game.
yeah, it was 10-0 at halftime. We were completely like we could have won, but we just didn't come out in the second half. I feel like we, faced some adversity and didn't face it well. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys have any Thursday games? Rivalry Thursday games, do you know?
we played a Thursday game this week or this year, which was Morristown East, but it wasn't a rivalry Thursday game. It was just on a
Oh.
Thursday. But I'm pretty sure it's because Morristown East and Morristown West share a field.
Oh, okay. I got it. Yeah, we're sponsors for Rivalry Thursday, so I'm at most of those games, and
Yeah.
and that was when I watched that Halls game.
hmm
So, Palmer, you are senior at Hardin Valley.
Yes.
Have you been approaching this season any differently? Like when you play, your first game of the season, that's your last first game of the season. Does stuff
Yeah,
like that enter your mind?
it's just been a little different because I feel like going to practice every day, I'm just like, dang, like this is it. Like this is the last year. While some of the other years, I just feel like I'm just like, I got time, that kind of thing. But this year, yeah, I've really been trying to do my best. I just want to go out with something good to remember. I don't really want to go out 1-9 like we had the previous year. I don't want to do that again. So far it's been going good. I think we just got to keep it up as a team.
Do you have specific goals like for yourself this senior season? Like something you want to improve on, I guess?
Um, I feel like last year, I don't know. I mean, this year I just want to like better stats, I guess. I mean, obviously that's a big one for everyone. Everyone wants to have good stats, but also just a personal goal. I just want to be a better leader on the field. I feel like that's a big one because everyone, I mean, once we leave, there's other people coming up too. So you want to leave the people there with something good to remember and something that they can learn off of me, hopefully. So that'll help.
How's this new staff been gelling with all the seniors?
It's good. They honestly have a really good relationship with us. They like to do things, with the team. They always do stuff in the summer, whether that this summer we went to main event, we went to the movies last year. Like we do some stuff like that, team bonding, and they just have a really good relationship with us. So I think that helps us, get to know them as well. So it's easier to talk to them as well too.
Yeah. Now, when you go to main event, are you like a bowler or are you wanting to get into that laser tag?
Oh, the laser tag for sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's my thing.
It's so fun. I got to, I've been taking kids there for birthday parties and even my 3-year-old loves it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I'm not a big bowling guy though.
I actually took bowling class at UT. That's the fun
Really?
thing about college is you can take classes like that. Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never seen that one.
Yeah. All you got to do is like improve and you're going to get an A.
How do you improve in bowling?
Well, I mean, I found out about it, and what they do is they think they're sly on the very first day. They're like, okay, everybody's going to bowl a game. And I had just found out. So I just, gutter balled 8 of them on purpose. And then all
Oh,
you've got to do is have a big improvement. So then when I
yeah.
come back, on the last day of class and I bowl a whatever, uh, whatever it might be, it's going to be like, whoa, you improved this much. So
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of smart.
yeah. Yeah, they think they're slick getting that by. Uh, what about your recruiting process so far? How's that going?
Um, Honestly, it's been kind of slow, but I mean, it's just also been it's kind of hard to reach out to coaches sometimes. But I currently have two offers, one from Maryville College and the other from Sewanee. I would say some other schools kind of looking at me is Center College and Austin P was looking at me just a little bit back in the off season when we were doing some training and stuff. So other than that, not much is going on right now, but I'm starting to put some of my highlights together just from weeks 1 through 3 to see if I can get any attention or anything like that.
Yeah. Now, not to put over one of my sponsors too much, but for real, an athlete like yourself would be great with one of my sponsors. It's called Recruit Me. It's a sports app, and it really is created to help athletes. Like a Nico Imaliava doesn't need it. A
Yeah.
guy that's a 4 or 5 star dude, but it's these guys that are looking to get in front of these coaches because it makes the process easier for the coaches and for the players, so you guys can communicate better. So I recommend checking that out. But yeah, Coach Fox down in Maryville, he's a good dude. Is that something that you think you definitely want to play in college?
Yeah, I mean, football has just always been something I've always thought about playing in college, and now that it's becoming more realistic, I mean, I see it happening. I could see it happening for sure. So yeah.
Mhm. So like Sewanee and Maryville College, what is the difference in their, I don't know, strategy talking to a guy like you?
Okay, so I took a visit back to Sewanee back in I would say April, and I really liked it. I didn't even go on like a football tour. I mean, I did with the football team. So they just kind of showed me around kind of what their expectations were and stuff like that. The school was beautiful. The campus was beautiful. And then Maryville, I actually went just to a camp there, and that's where I got offered was at the camp. So, I mean, it was a little bit different how they kind of approached it and stuff like that because the coach from Sewanee, me and him texted a little bit after, and that's when he told me. So it was a little bit different, but Maryville one was my first one, so that was pretty exciting just to get that first offer. I just feel like hard work paid off. So
Yeah. How about beyond your, let's say you go to one of those, you play college for 4 years. Like, what are your sports or football dreams after that?
I mean, if I played in college, I feel like I'd be pretty content with it after whatever happens. So I mean, obviously the chances of going D3 and then going to play in the NFL are pretty slim to none, just because it's harder for those scouts or whatever. You know how it goes. But I mean, after that, just try to get a good job and live a good life. I mean, whether that be influencing others or whatever that may be, like whatever that may be, and making money and stuff like that. It's kind of just what I want to do.
But is it something in sports? Like, do you want to, have you
I
thought
would
about it?
actually love to do something in sports, exercise, like exercise science and all that kind of stuff. So whether that be like physical therapy or anything like that. Honestly, right now, more looking towards the side of finance, just because that's kind of what my dad did. So I kind of know a little bit more about it. But exercise science or even being a trainer, something like that, just because like I just want to be around the sports. Maybe even looking to being a coach one day. That'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah. I'm actually coming tomorrow. I'm just realizing this. I'm coming to Hardin Valley tomorrow to speak to a class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about basically just like marketing and community relations. And so with the 865 academies, there's like, I guess one of the pathways is like health and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exercise science kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm coming to speak, I guess, to that group tomorrow morning.
Mhm. Probably. I don't know exactly all the teachers, but our trainer is one of the teachers for the Health Science Academy. So you might be doing it with her class or something like that. So
Yeah. Well, cool. I got to work this summer with what's her name? Maddie. Her husband is the Carnes coach. She's like assistant athletic director.
Warren.
Yes, Maddie Warren. So I did the announcing for the soccer teams, 865 Alliance, and they played all their matches at Hardin Valley.
Hmm.
So we were up there in the press box for long periods of time just because we had a few rain delays and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got to work with a lot of folks. I've had Nora Jacoman from Hardin Valley. She was on the podcast in the
Yeah.
spring. Do you know Gracie Waite?
Yeah. She's actually the one that kind of mentioned you to me about being on the podcast. So
Yeah. She's actually right now she's here working out.
yeah, yeah,
Before
she's a good athlete for sure.
before I stepped in here, I saw she's down there working with Corey, and she gets after it.
Yeah.
I ran into her down there last week, and it was I think her air wasn't working that day, and she was pouring sweat.
Oh,
Those really hot ones. What about your sports heroes? Like, who has been somebody that's kind of been a good motivator for you?
so definitely my dad, easy. I mean, he actually passed away when I was 13. So, I mean, he's just like, that's just kind of who I play for now. Like, he's just my biggest influencer, and that's exactly like who I want to play for. And that's like every game, I go to my certain corner and I just kind of talk to him before the game, stuff like that to just kind of help me just get in the mindset and all the kind of like all that kind of stuff. So, it obviously helps. Feeling like I can still talk to him and football to kind of still relate to him because that was definitely his favorite thing.
That's great, man. I think that's such a cool way to, connect with him and then, have him, still be able to help you
Yeah.
while you're on the field. That's awesome, man. I'm glad
Yeah.
I guess I'm glad that you get to find that time for the match to make that connection and it can still be a part of you.
Yeah. It's great.
Um, so what about like football specific workouts? Obviously at D1 we do a lot of that kind of stuff. And I'm just curious, when you're coming into like an off season, what is it that you do to stay on top of your game, whether it be on a field doing something or in the weight room?
Yeah. So, since I was young, my dad's client was Charlie Patrone, if you know who that is. So, Charlie, he was a kind of a big trainer for some NFL guys back in the day, and he still is kind of now. So I've been training with him for years. So, yeah, I've been training with him since I was probably around 8 or 9. Like I was pretty young, but obviously once I got older, they got more intense and stuff like that. But other than that, I actually ran track last year and the year before, and it kind of helped with my speed, just kind of like my straight line speed and stuff. and also just get in the field with some of my guys. You know, it also helps just to get some drills in and get out in the heat. Sometimes it also helps.
Braylon Harmon at Catholic, he's one I know that's very involved in track, and he was talking about that helping him a whole lot. What position are you hoping to play in college?
Probably safety. So
Okay.
this is my thing.
Yeah. Right on. So, tell me a little bit about Pierce off the field, hobbies, and just what do you get into?
Video games are kind of a big one for me. I mean, video games are just fun and mad and playing with a bunch of friends, and we're always playing each other, seeing who can beat each other. That's always a fun thing. And then other than that, I really like golfing. I've been golfing a lot recently. So me and my friends would go out and golf, and I find that super fun. As well as also I like fishing too. So that's something. Those
Yeah.
are just things I do.
You like to watch a lot of football?
Yeah, on Saturdays and Sundays is pretty much all I do. I just love watching football.
Who's your team?
UT obviously for college, but in NFL, I'm actually a Cowboys fan. Just went to a game when I was younger and just kind of stuck with them.
Yeah, man. I unfortunately I'm playing somebody in fantasy this week that had the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, they had a good
They
night
just
last
they
night.
scored 2 touchdowns. The defense did. I mean, that was insane. So I'm gonna lose, and rarely is it because of the defense, but
Yeah, I know.
yeah, they popped off and had a good one. So here's one thing I do ask everybody on the show. I want you to share with me one great, like when you're 85 years old and you're looking back and you got some great sports memory that you're never going to forget, whether it's as a player or even as a spectator. What is something that stands out to you?
Probably my first varsity start. I remember leading up to the game. I didn't really know. I was second string, but our first string receiver, this is my sophomore year when COVID was a thing. He got COVID, so he got quarantined. So my first game was actually a receiver, and so I just remember how nervous I was. I was on the bus. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to expect. It was actually all the way at Morristown West. So I was so nervous. I actually think I caught 2 balls that game. That was about it, but it was still just a cool experience just to feel the varsity game, like all that kind of stuff as a sophomore. It was great. I loved it. I'll always
And
remember that.
of course, the Morristown drive too. It's extra
Oh,
long just to keep
yeah.
those nerves.
It was awful. It was horrible. I was so nervous the whole way there.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, Pierce Palmer, I wish you the best of luck. I'm gonna keep following with your recruiting and see who you commit to eventually. But yeah, man, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.